Now with the coffee pot, you don't have a lot of variables that you can change. You just basically have an on and off button, and that's it. But we're gonna use this on and off button to our advantage to just add in a couple of tricks. But the thing that you're gonna wanna be really careful of is grind size. So what you wanna do is the lighter the roast of the coffee, the finer the grind. And the darker the roast of the coffee, the coarser the grind. Now you may be wondering why, and that's because the darker the coffee is roasted, the easier it is for the water to extract the soluble compounds. So for a really light roast, we want to grind those grinds up so fine so we can extract as much from that beautiful light roast as possible. And with a dark roast, you want to try to reduce extraction or your cup is going to be super, super bitter. So my recipe today is with 2 ounces of coffee, which I already have in this cup, and that's already ground up. This is a medium roast, so I ground it to a medium grind, kind of in between fine and coarse. So now I'm gonna get ready to be telling you guys about trick number 1, and that involves your filter. Now you may have seen a lot of coffee nerds out there, and they wet their filter. They wet their filter before they put the grounds in there, and that's really important, because if you don't, your coffee's gonna taste like paper. And with a lot of these coffees, like when we're brewing a really beautiful and delicious coffee, it's taken so much work to get it to our table that we don't want to ruin it by making it taste like paper. So before I add the coffee in here, I'm first going to add in my water. And for 2 ounces of coffee that I'm going to be putting into this coffee pot, I'm going to add water up to the line number 5. Now, not all coffee pots have 5, sometimes it goes 2, 4, and 6. So just go in between the 4 mark and the 6 mark on your coffee pot. So you can see here my water line is right in between 4 and 6. And now here comes trick number 1. And I'm actually just going to add another splash of water. And this is bringing me to trick number 1. And that's we're going to rinse the filter with the coffee pot. So I'm going to turn the coffee pot on. And what I'm going to do is just wait. And I'm going to watch. And once the water starts dripping down into here, the clean water without any grounds in it, once it starts dripping down, I'm just going to turn it off. So this process usually takes about 20 to 30 seconds. It's really, really quick. And you can see there goes the water starts coming, so I'm just going to turn this off. Now, what did this do? Let's look inside here. And you can see how my filter now is rinsed and it's wet. And that's great. And that's going to make it so your coffee doesn't taste like water. You guys see how it's a little yellow? Yeah, that's from the filter. You don't want to drink that. So now we have our rinsed filter and we're ready to add the coffee in here. So I'm going to open up the lid and I'm going to pour this coffee straight into the middle. Nothing special about this. You guys have probably done this a million times. You can see I have my water in here. I have the coffee in here. We are ready to go. I'm going to close this and turn it on. And now what we're going to do is we're going to wait. And we're going to do kind of the same idea as when we rinse the filter. We're going to wait to start to see water flow through the coffee and start to enter the carafe here. And once the coffee starts dripping through and enters the carafe, we're going to turn it off. This process also takes about 30 seconds. So it's just a couple of steps here that's going to make a massive improvement. So I'm waiting and I'm just starting to see the coffee drip through there. So I'm going to turn it off. Now you might be wondering why I did this, and I'm going to open this up and show you why. You see the coffee bed there? And you see all those bubbles? That's degassing. That's all CO2. This is called the degassing process. And what we're doing is we're letting all of the gases, all of the CO2 out of the coffee grounds. And why we do that is if you just keep letting that water flow over the grounds, it traps the CO2, gets into your coffee, and tastes super bitter. And just that step, all we have to do is wait 30 seconds to let that degas so we could turn this back on, let all the water run through it just as you normally do. And just those 2 little steps, all you're doing is flicking the switch on and off twice. Makes a massive difference. It's going to make your coffee taste so much less bitter. It's going to make it taste less papery. It's going to allow you to brew really delicate coffees like Geisha, Pacamara, Whoosh Whoosh, and have a great experience drinking out of the coffee pot. So if you're up for the challenge, you can add both of those steps into your morning routine, or maybe you could just do one or the other, and you'll see a massive improvement. So I just let this coffee pot run like it normally does. It just finished, and now I'm going to take it out of here, and just like normal, pour myself a cup. I would recommend not putting it underneath here because everything in here right now you don't really want to drink. Like once it stops, if I put it back underneath there, it's going to still drip some more. And that's going to be super over extracted, super bitter coffee. I mean, you can if you want, but I'd recommend just leaving it out on the table. And I get that there's a hot plate here, but when you're drinking specialty coffee like this, you want to experience it when it's hot, warm, and cold. Because usually it improves as it cools down. So you don't want to keep it super hot. So at this point, I'd recommend just turning it off, leaving this here. letting this even cool, get down to room temperature, and you can keep sipping on it, and it's going to be delicious. So I hope this helped you guys learn a little bit about how to brew a little bit better with your standard coffee pot and make your coffee experience each morning just a little bit better. Cheers, you guys. Thanks for watching. Woo, that's good.